Well, hey there, everybody. So we're going to start a new series. Basically, we're going to end up with this thing right here. We're going to get it in Unity, and we're not going to model it. Basically, it's already modeled, but we're going to start off in Maya, where we're going to unwrap it, bake some color maps, bake some normal maps. Then we're going to go on into Quixel Undo, and we're going to add some more normal map information. Then we're going to adjust our color maps that we baked out of Maya. We're going to adjust them based upon this new information that we added in Undo. Then we're going to get into Dedo, throw in some smart materials, adjust those smart materials, add an emissive for like this screen and these buttons down here, add an opacity for this window so it's see-through, adjust some of our metalness and our gloss settings. Then finally, we're going to prep these things that are coming out of Quixel. We're going to prep them so that they can go into Unity. We're going to import them here into Unity, as you can see. We're going to set up our material based upon our textures we have. We're going to make some final adjustments to these textures, specifically the alpha channels within Photoshop, and then we'll end up with something that looks roughly like this. So hopefully this is going to be helpful to you guys. Any comments, questions, feel free to drop them below. Anything I do stupid during the series, feel free to correct me. I'm sure I've got some bad habits. I'm sure I do some things that I probably shouldn't do. You're free to point those out to me. I will not be offended, and I'll get over it. Any recommendations, suggestions, feel free to point them out as we go through this series. Okay, so hope you guys have fun with this. Do excuse the fact that I'm about to introduce myself again. Because I am adding this right here to the start of the video that we are now starting. So let's have some fun. Well, hey there, everybody. So we're gonna, or I'm going to, and well, I guess you are too. I guess we're all along for the ride on this one. So basically, going to take a asset and kind of do the whole Quixel pipeline on this, and going to break this video or this series up into separate videos, so it's not just one really long video. So in this one, going to do the UV unwrap, the material map or the color ID map, and also bake out some normal maps. And for those who stumble on this video, these videos or whatever, if you know of a better way to do some of this stuff, feel free to let me know. Because yeah, I mean, we all learn from each other pretty much. So anyway, so first thing I'm going to do is actually set up my working directory the way that I like it, and I'm going to put some stuff on the desktop just so it's easy for me to find. So I'll create a folder. I'm going to call it Security Console. And in there, I'm going to go ahead and put my Maya file that's got the somewhat high poly and the definitely low poly. And then let's add a Undo folder. And then let's add I'm going to call it Texture Set folder, because this is going to be my final texture set coming out of Dedo and everything. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this Security Console loaded up here into Maya. And yeah, it's giving me a warning back there about this being a student. Yes, I know that. Feel free to move out of the way anyhow. Alright, so there we go. So we are now loaded up here. Let me double check my outliner, make sure I don't have any superfluous stuff in here. Okay, I don't. These cubes, I'm not going to use these. Just going to dump those cubes. Basically, those cubes were there for an example. So one thing to be aware of, so like this is my high poly, and yeah, that's not really high poly, I get that. And this is my low poly, and yeah, that's pretty low poly. But one thing to be aware of, we are going to be baking normal maps out of Maya, and when we do that, we really need our high poly to be beveled. So like this is going to be a bad example of some stuff. So like, let me go to my face mode here real quick. Face. So like this face right here, and if I were to go ahead, if I were to go ahead and select some more, basically this whole series going right around there like that, we're not going to detect that at all when we bake out our normal maps. The way that normal maps bake out, let me kind of align this like so. So we've got a camera that's looking at our object, and what it's going to do is it's going to assign colors in our normal map based upon what the normals are doing of the surfaces that it sees. So those surfaces that I just highlighted that are along the edge there going down, because they're actually perpendicular to these surfaces down here, we don't see them. Now these slanted ones over here that are beveled, yeah, we're going to see those. We're going to get great normal detail on these buttons. But as far as that other stuff, we're not going to get detail at all. So we really need to have those beveled a little bit better, or just be aware that that's going to happen. And then when we get into undo, we're going to go ahead and create some of that information if we want it. In this case, I'm going to end up not even wanting that kind of raised information anyway, so whatever. So yeah, that's one big kind of warning there. So let's go ahead and on our high poly here, I'm going to go ahead and assign some materials to create my basic material map, or my color ID, color map. So I'm going to right click, go to assign new material, and I'm going to use Lambert's. And so for this first Lambert, there it is, I'm going to go ahead and call this base. Yeah, I'll just call it base, and give it a color. And for the color, oh, let's go with blue. Sure, why not? And then next up, I'm going to go to my face mode here. Let's select that right there. Right click and go assign new material. Do another Lambert on that. And I'm going to call this one glass. And let's give it a color, not blue. How about green? Sure, why not? And then I'm going to select this area right down there, my LCD screen of this. And I'm going to go to assign material. What am I looking for? There it is, assign new material. Do another Lambert, like so. And this will be LCD screen. So basically I'm naming these, good habit to get into just in case we ever want to be able to assign other materials to what we're currently, to a certain material, a already defined material. Well, that was a tough one to get through. Okay, so I didn't want to select that one. So I'm going to select the surface of my buttons here. Hold down shift and the greater sign key, which is right next to the question mark. And you can see that just grew my selection so that I got all those slants on my buttons there. Let's right click this and let's do another assign new material. And yeah, we'll do a Lambert on this thing as well. Where are you at? There's a Lambert. And I'm going to call this one buttons. Yeah, buttons, that looks cool. And give it a different color, red. Okay, so there's my base stuff. Now, I could assign different colors to my borders here. I could assign a different color to the panel background here. Kind of tempted to, but I think I'm going to leave that alone for now. And I can always come back to it. I'll just kind of ponder it as we go on to the next step. So let's go back to our object mode. Let's select our low poly guy, because our next step is to go ahead and UV unwrap this thing. So I'm going to come up here, UV, and do an automatic on it as a starting point. And let's take a look at what we just did. UV editor. Zoom out here. Let me select everybody. Pull them over to here so we can see it better. Okay, well, pretty clean unwrap here. Now these areas, I'm going to want the most detail, so I really want the highest texel resolution I can on those areas, which I can't get any higher than that. So yeah, I'm just going to put that. I don't know, it doesn't even matter where I put it. I'm going to put it there. And these guys, I'm going to go ahead and drag these guys back into here as well. Give myself a little gap between them. Shouldn't need it, but just in case. And I end up here with just a ton of wasted space in this UV layout. Kind of frustrating, to be honest with you. Kind of makes me want to alter my UV or my low poly so that I can divide, put some divisions down through here so that way I can separate out my screen and my window and my LCD and my buttons. And hey, Twitter, what's up? Go away, Twitter. But this is what I'm working with, so this is what I'm going to keep. So let me pull that back out. Alright, so there's my UV layout. Let's go ahead and go back to object mode with F8. Polygons, UV snapshot right there. And I'm going to go ahead and create this UV snapshot. I don't think I'm going to need it, but it's one of those things of it'd be nice to go ahead and have it just in case. So I'll go to my desktop, my security console folder, and I'm going to call this UV snapshot. And I like to use all caps for for these things that are coming out of Maya, just so that they stand out to me as I'm looking through my directory. 2048, yeah, we're going to go 2K on this. Maya if is fine. We look good there. Okay. All right, so we saved that out. We're done with our UV editor. So, did I make a decision on this? No, I didn't. So I'm going to leave that the way it is. Let's come over here then, and yeah, we'll leave it like that. I really want to. Yeah, we're gonna leave it like that anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and select this object over here. Press Control A so I can see my attributes and I can see where it is I'm located at. And okay, that's kind of odd. So I'm gonna go 0, 0, 0. Good. And then let's grab our low poly one and let's put this at 0, 0, 0. Also good. And the whole point of that was it made sure that they're on top of each other, like so. Okay, let's go to our outliner, Windows Outliner, and I'm going to select both my high poly and my low poly here. Come up here to Modify Freeze Transformations, and that's just to make sure that these are reset to 0, 0, 0. And let's see. You know what? That's just fine. Yeah, that's fine there. Oops. Okay, so yeah, we're all set. We're all set. There we go. Let's go up here to rendering. So the modeling drop down. Let's select rendering. And in my rendering, I'm going to go lighting and shading. And let's go to transfer maps. And the first transfer map I'm going to do is actually going to be my color ID map. Let's clear all. And for my target mesh, that's going to be the target I want to put these onto, or basically my low poly. I'm going to select the security console. Add selected. For my source mesh, I'm going to select high poly, add selected. For the output map I want, I'm going to do a diffuse map. Let's see, I'm going to save this in my desktop, in my working directory, as my color map. Not as a pix, let's do it as a PNG. There we go, let's save that. Everything else looking pretty good. I don't want to connect the maps, that's fine. My common 2K, that looks good. Let's go medium, filter size. This all looks good. Let's bake it. Okay, so this is going to bake out our color map, not taking too terribly long. Or maybe it just kind of paused while it's going in the background. So it'll throw it out here in this directory here in just a minute. Okay, and there we go, we've finished, and you can see in the directory we now have a color map. If I double click that and load it up, we have, if I can move it, there we go. And there's our color map, looking pretty good. Okay, so next up, we've got that done. Let me move that out of the way. So I want to do something different there. So I'm going to remove that map, and this time I want to bake a normal map. And I want to define where I want this normal map to be. It's going to be, yeah, in that directory. It's not going to be a pix, but I'm going to call this normal bake or normal transfer, just so I know this is one coming out of Maya. I could even call it normal Maya to differentiate it from the one that we'll be generating with undo. So I'm going to save this as a PNG as well, like so. Save. And we need to do some checking on some stuff we have here. First thing we need to look at is this envelope. This envelope is going to be how far from our low poly are we willing to look for normal information. These buttons and all that stuff, for instance. So let's change where it says mesh and either do both or envelope. For me, both doesn't really make much sense because I can't see the low poly anyway, so I generally just do envelope. And what I want is I want this red envelope to surround my object, my high poly. So let's increase. There we go. 19.2. It's a huge envelope. Let's see, can we drop it down any? Well, 18, dropped it down some. How about 17? Oh, the surface of my buttons just popped out. Let's try 17.2. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I've got that in there. Next thing I want to do is down here in my advanced options, this max search depth. This is how far down it will search for any normal information. Now, as it turns out, in this particular model, this high poly, it's not going to matter because remember, for one thing, there's no inset information, and for another thing, they're not beveled. They're all perpendicular, so they're not going to work very well anyway. The other thing that I personally like to do is instead of doing geometry normals on match using, I prefer to change that to surface normals. And I mean, my max depth here is set to 50. You know, that's large, but it shouldn't matter. I should set that to 0, and we should be just fine on this particular model. But on another model, you might want to play around with your depth and your max search depth. And as you're trying to play around and find the right things, you might want to change your sampling quality from medium to like low or even preview so that you get your outputs done quicker. And you can see what's being generated. And you know, it doesn't take long before you can tell if you've got the information on your normal map that you're after or not. So I'm going to go ahead and bake this. We should be good to go. So let's bake that out, and this will take a couple minutes. Alright, so we've finished baking our normal map. Let's take a look at what we've got. I'm going to go ahead and drop it into Photoshop here and bring my color map over really quick. And you know what, let's go ahead and bring our normal map over as well. Okay, so here you can see our normal map. You can see we've got great button detail, the beveling. Normal map looks pretty good. I think we're in good shape there. Color map, color ID. I just want to do a couple of things real quick kind of as a housekeeping on this. And basically, what I'm worried about as I zoom in, way in on this, you can see these areas right here where we have this aliasing going on between our colors. That will actually be picked up as a separate material within Quixel potentially, and I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is use my eyedropper tool. I'm going to select the not my eyedropper tool, that was dumb. My magic wand. I'm going to select the green area, hold down shift, the yellow area, the red area, and all the black areas. And then do a control shift I, or select inverse selection, so that now I've got all the blue areas selected. And what I want to do with this is just fill this with blue paint until I've gotten rid of those odd little areas. So let's go ahead and I'm going to eyedrop and make sure I've got that blue selected. And I'm going to zoom in here so that I can see what it is I'm after. So like I'm after like that area, and I'm after like that area, and you can see that area, right? So let's just do a shift F5. You know, that seems to have gotten rid of that pretty well. Shift F5. Going to do it a couple times. You can see how it bled over right into there, so it got that nice and sharp. Maybe do another one here. How are we looking down here? Looks pretty good. Okay. Yeah, I think we're looking pretty good. I think I would like to fill this yellow in just a little bit better. Make sure that I don't have any offsetting in there as well. Let's see, how's my red area looking down here? There it is. See, I've got like one row pixel right there. So let's do this. Let's get our magic wand, and I want to select that, which didn't select that. That's kind of annoying. So let's see here. So I want to get, well, you know, I've got to decide if I really care or not, but I kind of do care, so I want to get that taken care of. So I'm going to grab my paintbrush. Or, yeah, I guess I'm going to grab my paintbrush. Let's try it with the paintbrush. Where are you, paintbrush? You're here somewhere. There's my paintbrush. Oh, that's huge, 92. Let's drop that down to 1, because that's really what I'm looking at, is 1 pixel row here. And I'm going to go ahead and eyedrop my red just to make sure I'm using the right color. Do a Control D. Go back to my paintbrush. Where are you at? Right there. I want to paint like right down here. Hold down my Shift key so that I can paint straight down. One more. Oof. Get it again. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. Looks like I added a little offset over there. Kind of annoying dealing with this. Paintbrush, yes, I've got you selected. But I'd kind of rather take a few minutes now on this and kind of make sure that things are going to come out the way that I want them to. Okay, there we go. So my color map, I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save out my color map. Oh, I didn't want to. Oh, dang it. Just wanted to overwrite the PNG. Yeah, no. That's fine. Save it. Alright, so I'm done with my color map right there. And we're done over here in Maya, so we are now ready to set up everything inside Quixel. And well, actually, Endu is going to be our next stop, so I will see you then.